There is no doubt that this week has been about one story and one story only. Harry and Meghan. Or is it Oprah, Harry and Meghan? I think it's actually been about Piers Morgan, Harry and Meghan. No, actually, Piers Morgan alone. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the PR Coach. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. And thank you very much for sharing. What happened this week is a great lesson in understanding the media. Piers Morgan has been a great gift to all of you to understand something about journalism, how it's supposed to work, and how it's not always working. There are rules of journalism that most of us don't understand, and therefore we fall victim to unscrupulous or unethical journalists. And I believe Piers Morgan is one of those. I am not here to speak about what you feel or do not feel about the royal family, what you think or do not think about Meghan Markle, what you feel about the couple having left the royal family or the monarchy. I'm not interested. I have my views, but in this platform, I focus on public relations, the media, reputation, and all those related issues. Piers Morgan has for years used his platforms to attack Meghan Markle. He has been let loose by those that employ him or use his content to get personal with the subject. And that is wrong. That is wrong. When journalists do that, it is wrong and unethical. Journalists may hold views, and talk show hosts are employed precisely because they hold views. I have worked as a talk show host. I hold particular views. But my views are not carte blanche. My views have to be balanced with responses from others or room for them to comment. If not, there is somewhere where I need to stop. I cannot consistently feed the public with my views, and especially if those views are personal and acerbic, as Piers Morgan's views have been about Meghan Markle. Now, I do not know what caused the furore between the two of them, and frankly, I do not care. But I do care about those editors that have allowed Piers Morgan to use their platforms to continue with his personal fight, personal vendetta, in fact, against Meghan. It is wrong. No editor should do that. Now, I need to say this very quickly before you misunderstand me. Most of the time when the media are doing their work, when they investigate stuff, when they probe, when they ask questions, sometimes we take cover in the excuse that, no, but journalist so-and-so doesn't like me. Newspaper like that doesn't like me. That radio station hates me. That television platform is racist, is anti-black, is anti-women, this, that, or the other. That's not always true. I still believe that all of us need to learn how the media works, how to respond to negative news, how to handle difficult interviews, and come out on the other side. Those skills are taught. There are many people who can teach you that. And hey, I'm one of those. But in this case, Piers Morgan has crossed the line and has been crossing it for a very long time. Kudos, by the way, to his own colleagues who've taken him on. Kudos to Meghan herself for having not entertained him. Even though sometimes not entertaining your attacker can be seen as validating what they say, but in this case she was never going to win. He had the airtime. He had the ink in barrels. She didn't have. And hey, let's face it, she's also a black woman in a world that's not very kind to black people, let alone black women. So in fighting Piers Morgan, it was going to be, in my view, a losing battle. So she won the day she switched off from him. But Piers Morgan continued, nevertheless. He became personal. He became insulting. He became sexist. And yes, he also became racist. I don't care what anybody argues. There was a thick measure of racism in his attack on this woman, her relationship with her father, her relationship with him, her relationship with the monarchy, and in defense of his queen, as he speaks, the queen, he ignores everything else that that monarchy may have been accused of or are still accused of up to this day. So I'm arguing that journalists are not the same people. That's one. That journalists are not always right. That's true. Two, journalists make a lot of mistakes, and journalists can be very unethical. And when they are one of these or all of these things, they need to be challenged. They need to be challenged, I believe, first by their peers and their employers. Because if you don't, you are then validating the vileness of those who work for you. Editors are expected to moderate their reporters. If they're not taken on by their peers and their editors, you as a subject have a right to challenge them in front of many other panels. You know, the press ombudsman, the complaints commission, the broadcast complaints commission, you know, whatever else. You can even take them to court. You can go directly to court to challenge them. You, of course, could also employ experts who can help you to handle the media. And I always believe that's the cheapest way, because not only do you avoid to antagonize, but also you also learn the tools of handling people like Piers Morgan going forward. But I think what we have learned this week is that journalists need to manage themselves. They need to manage their egos. They need to manage their views. And they need to manage, most importantly, how they use the platforms that they are privileged to have. No journalist has a right to do what Piers Morgan has done over the years over Meghan. I do not care how much you hate somebody, or a country, or a group of people, or an animal for that matter, or a company. You cannot use your platform to be vindictive and unethical without being reined in. It is actually shameful that it took 4,000 plus complainants on ITV for an investigation to be instituted and for Piers to walk away voluntarily. Well, I don't think it was voluntarily, by the way. I believe he knew what was coming next. But what is even sadder for me is that Piers Morgan will resurface somewhere. Somebody will defend his right to free speech. I am a disciple of free speech. I hold views that I make out strongly and I publish. But I refuse, and I rein myself in. I refuse to get personal. I refuse to get vindictive. And I certainly insist on being ethical. If I am going to accuse somebody, I insist on giving them a right of reply. And if they refuse that right of reply, I mention that I had given them the opportunity to reply. But once I have done that, I move on. Piers Morgan refused to move on. Whatever beef he had with this woman, he just refused to move on. That's unethical. And you need to know that when journalists do that to you, when the media do that to you, you need to understand when they are being unethical. Don't throw toys. Don't insult back. You have a right to take action. But you also have a right to challenge them peacefully, with a smile, around the table, and show them out for who they are. And once you've done that, speak to their bosses, demand a right of reply that is unmediated. In this case, You know, if it's press, they must give you space to write your own words, your response unmediated. If it's television, they must give you space to publish a recorded response, and they must flight it prominently as they flighted whatever the likes of Piers Morgan have said in their spaces. You have that right. Any editor that denies you that right, you have a right to take it up with the bodies I've mentioned, or to even go to court. But you can also shame them publicly. The media are not sacrosanct, very important as they are, with a duty to report, very important in holding power to accountability, in making sure that they speak truth to power, in making sure that they defend you and I who are voiceless. They are not sacrosanct and they are not faultless. Let what we have seen with Piers Morgan teach us all a lesson, that the media are like all of us. They make mistakes, and when they do make those mistakes, they need to be called to order. Never miss an opportunity to do so. But most importantly, when you do it, seek first to do it cordially, in some form of camaraderie. Reach out, go for hearts and minds. I always believe that you must always wear a big smile and try to woo people unto you before you fight them. They also can be educated, by the way. They don't know everything. But when they become Mr. or Miss Know-all, hey, wear your gloves and take them on. Thank you very much for watching. Please share this content with others. This information is important for others to know where they stand with the media. I don't believe that it's always about fighting in court. I actually believe you can fight it without going to court. If all else fails, you can reach me on rams@kingmaker.co.za, wherever you are in the world. Nowadays we press a button and we can connect online. I can give you all the nuggets you need to deal with the Piers Morgans of this world. Cheers to ITV for finally letting go of him, even though we are made to believe he walked. I don't think so. Cheers to Meghan for not reducing herself to that level of pittiness. Until next time, goodbye.